Hello lovely people.
Hello.
Welcome back to the channel. 2 years ago we made a video called Assumptions About Our Parenting, where we asked for your assumptions on what you thought we would be like as parents because you were pregnant.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I can't even remember that video.
It's fine. You can watch
A lot's
it.
happened since then.
A lot has happened.
There's like a little tiny man in our lives.
Yeah, we actually had said child, and he is now a toddler, rapidly approaching 2. If you want to go and watch that video, you can by clicking this little card up here, or the link down in the description. But we thought it was time to do an updated version, since we are now actually parents.
And our assumptions
experience.
of what we answered back then, we would answer differently now.
Quite possibly.
Yeah.
We should let you know that we are quite ill at the moment.
Yeah, we're at the tail end of like basically a 3-week flu. So
Hits
much
you in
harder
the
when you
face.
have a toddler. When you have illness,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't. I actually even googled how to look after a toddler when ill.
This is a very long intro.
It is, but it is about parenting at least. So.
Yeah, we got that.
Parenting is less tiring than you thought it would be.
There are a number of things that
this is
parenting...
unfair because, as we just said, we are recovering from flu. So the last 3 weeks have been like really tiring. But I think just flu in general is tiring.
I think in many ways there are interesting things about parenting where in some ways it is easier than I thought it would be, and in some ways it is much harder than I thought it would be. I find it emotionally easier than I thought it would be in some respects.
Yeah, just because it was like convinced that all our children would hate her. Why would anyone hate you?
Thank you, darling.
Especially like your own child.
It's okay, Jessica does go to therapy. The things that have been harder, I think, have been when I have bouts of illness or an injury that means I can't spend a lot of time with Rupert. He obviously doesn't quite understand that I'm not just choosing not to spend time with him, that my having a 2-day migraine isn't me working extra hard for 2 days and therefore actively choosing not to be with him. So she's a bit miffed that we're not talking about our parenting of her.
You should just, hold her horses a little bit because she sleeps on our bed now.
I'm not pleased about this, by the way. I was so happy when the dogs moved off our bed.
Walter and Tilly always used to sleep on our bed, and then not always, but I mean they pretty much ended up there.
They were
and then
fine.
Rupert was
They'd
born.
moved on.
Like Rupert then moved into his own room, and then I think it was like I got a little bit brood. I think I missed having like a little extra body.
We're a bit broody for baby number 2.
Tilly also cottoned on to the fact that the baby was no longer in our room, so she came back up the stairs and started scratching on the doors, didn't she?
And the thing that I have learned from this experience is that you can train a dog, you can kind of train a child, but you cannot train your wife.
No, I don't think you should train your wife. That's weird and wrong.
Montessori is your only parenting guide.
I would say that we're not like 100% purely only Montessori, and we don't follow our own instincts, and we don't
There's definitely like
to
things that
whatever's inside of us at that
yeah, and I think
point in
like we
time.
often see things on social media, or we'll read something, or we'll hear something from a friend who has kids that we like the way that that parent is doing something, or we like the way that that child is acting or learning or whatever, which isn't like strictly like isn't potentially a Montessori thing, but it's just something that we like, and then we just bring that in. So I wouldn't say it's our only guide.
Yeah, there are definitely things that are not made to be part of Montessori. Like Montessori is a much more educational based guidelines, so it can be quite classroom focused in a lot of ways. It isn't necessarily giving you teachings about how to handle conflicts at home with your child, so you do have to look at other things.
I'd say we look a lot at like gentle parenting approaches, but we'll take bits that we like and leave bits that we don't like. So some bits that we're like, that's too soft for us, we'll leave. And other bits that we're like, that's great, then we'll take it. And the same with Montessori, we're like, that's too strict and formal for us, so we'll leave that. But this bit's great. So yeah, I mean, generally we do use the Montessori outline as our main guide, because it's quite nice to just have like a kind of general thing that it's like, okay, we kind of, but it's like we're not like rigidly like, like, we only follow this system, and if it's not in the book, then we're not going to do it. That's just like, I don't think anyone can really parent like that and be an effective parent. The whole point of Montessori, which is what we like, is you're meant to be guided by your own child. So you could follow the Montessori guide, but it would be almost completely different with your first child as it would be to your second child, because you're very much being indicated of what you do and what you teach and what you show through the child. That's what we like about it.
Yeah, which is really fascinating now, having other sort of parent friends who do Montessori with their children, because we're all doing such different things, but we're all following our children in Montessori.
Yeah.
Claudia loves it when Rupert gets covered in mud, and Jessica loves the fact he's obsessed with reading.
I don't think our child's ever been covered in mud. I don't know that he'd cope.
That's not even true, because actually one of Jessica's, like, okay, before we had a baby, her, right, and we didn't know what gender the baby was going to be, her like perfect image of childhood is like a little girl wearing like a tutu or like some kind of skirt or like a dress that's like considered like a formal dress, but with like some kind of like, you know, hoodie over it, or like a jumper or cardigan that's maybe a little bit messy, and then her hair was maybe tidy at one point in the day, but now it's got brambles in it, and she's got like skimmed knees and mud up her legs, and her shoes are covered in mud. Like, that's actually Jessica's idea of like perfect childhood representation. So like, it's quite funny that people assume that I would like that, but actually Jessica loves that image.
I do. I love that little girls with like the super like formal dresses with smocking across the front and then muddy wellies.
Yeah.
Would our child like to be covered in mud?
With Rupert? I mean, no. He's always just like, my hands!
Absolutely not. He gets a speck of butter on him and he's like, oh, a wipe. A wipe. And then we pass him a wipe and he's like,
yeah. Apart from that one time
table.
Apart from that one time that he randomly just ate like a scoop of butter out of the tub with his hand.
That was so bizarre.
Butter. And we were like, you just ate like basically a handful of butter, and he was like, yeah, Rupert likes butter. We were just like, okay.
And then he went.
To be fair, this was like this was like 2 weeks ago, and he hadn't been able to eat very much because he'd had like a sore throat. So maybe he was just like, I need the fats, guys. We both love that he loves books. I think it's great if someone loves books.
Oh, I love it. I love that he has something that he is so passionate about and that he can do himself. Like, it's lovely seeing your child just take such pleasure in something.
Like when he goes to bed, because we have like a floor bed and like the whole Montessori kind of thing, it's like giving them their independence in their room and their bedtime. He just goes to his bookshelf and takes all his books down. You can see him on the monitor, one of those monitors that can pan around the room. And he just like sits there and he's just like reading to himself, like doing the little like sign actions, all the words. And it's so sweet, like watching him do that.
Claudia is stricter than Jessica.
No, I wouldn't say so. I think we're similar.
I think maybe we're strict on different things.
On different things. Also, like, because we communicate so much about everything, I think we come from the same place for the same thing, so we set the same boundaries and we have the same way of setting it and we have the same way of enforcing it, and like, so I wouldn't say one of us is stricter. I'd say I was maybe harsher sometimes because I'm less patient than Jessica. So if Rupert is particularly testing us with a boundary thing, and you know, then I might just be like, I might like raise my voice a bit or get a bit more like short-tempered, whereas like you don't tend to do that.
Yeah, I'd say so. We come in with the intention of the same boundary.
Yeah.
I'm probably much firmer beforehand. So I guess I'm strict in that I am quite firm on like what is allowed and what is not allowed beforehand, before we meet a problem.
I'd say the one thing that we both have that we don't always meet on is around food. Remember that time when I came home?
Oh my god!
And I was like, I got you ice cream, and you were like,
that's not to do with food. That's to do with you.
And you were like, he was perfectly happy before you mentioned ice cream, and now he's having like, you know, like, and then he had a tantrum, and I'm like.
So something that we normally do if someone has gone to the shops, or we've gone to the shops as a family, or Claudia's gone to the supermarket, is she brings home the food in the big bags, and we all carry the big bags from the front of the house into the kitchen. We take everything out of the big bags, and Rupert likes to unpack the shopping with us and put everything away.
Yes.
And he is a helper. He likes to help, and that's part of.
But if he comes across something like ice cream or something that he wants it right then, which is understandable because he's a child and he doesn't have impulse control.
Therefore,
So now
as his parents...
I have now learned when I go shopping at a supermarket to hide the things that I don't want him to have right then.
So what do we not do? Walk in the front door and say,
That-
I bought you some ice cream.
That's because he had been so sad that there wasn't any the night before, and he had a really bad sore throat with like tonsillitis, and I knew that ice cream would help. And like, you like ice cream.
He's not even 2.
And like, Jessica gets so happy when I bring her ice cream. Everyone likes ice cream.
Yes, but I'm like, yay, that's so great. Now I can have ice cream
but
later on.
But then today, for instance, me and Rupert made a cake.
Yeah.
And I said to Rupert, okay, yes, I can, like, cake's ready, but it's just come out of the oven, so it's hot. So we've got to wait for it to cool down, and we'll have it after we finish our fried rice, because we're going to have the fried rice first, and then we'll have cake afterwards, all together. And he was like, okay, and he kind of accepted that. Jessica then came along and was like, we're going to have the cake after the rice. I was like, yeah. And then suddenly it became, here you go, you can have a piece of the cake next to your rice. And of course, he's not going to eat the rice. He ate the cake, and then he had another piece of cake, and then like...
The cake was placed on the table in front of the poor child.
You told me to put it there. So the rule
Take
basically...
a photo.
Anyway, that's what I mean about food. It's like, we're not as consistent with food.
You let Rupert decide what he wants to eat.
Yeah, we do let him decide what he wants to eat, in a sense that I'll make out of the selection that we have chosen. So like, I'll make a dish, but it has like lots of like elements to it.
Yeah.
Vegetable, lulls. Like we try and do this thing where we do like things in the middle, and then like, you know, a plate of potatoes, plate of vegetables, some fruit, and then he can just like help himself. And we've always had this thing where like we'll serve the fruit like a bowl of berries or whatever it is at the same time as like the main course.
I'm so confused by that question. What's the alternative?
Like forcing him to eat vegetables.
How do you force feed?
Like not letting him have not having any choice over any food.
Alright.
Just like, here's your fish and chip.
No, so we did baby-led weaning with him, and we're very much like, you eat what you want until you are full, learn your own brain and how much your satiation.
Well, I would say we're really
how much
relaxed
you want to eat, but yeah, I think we're quite.
Food.
I am very strong on not wanting to build this idea of
you must eat your greens.
Like you must eat your vegetables.
We always make sure there are some vegetables on offer, and it's his choice if he wants to go for them or not. I'm not gonna force him.
At the same time, we also don't put any value limitation or give any value to them. It's not like, these are vegetables, they're amazing, they're healthy. These are not healthy foods.
Yeah.
But we eat a lot of vegetables and fresh fruit in front of him anyway, so he's just eating them too.
Also, I don't have any I don't have any worries that he's going to grow up with an unhealthy diet and eating habits, because I trust me and Jessica have healthy eating habits and healthy diet. Toddlers and children go through phases of being a bit more picky, and that's fine, because it's just a phase.
Yeah, if he had 3 years where he just ate cheese sandwiches.
Well, I have a really good friend who just ate cheese sandwiches for pretty much the first, I don't know, was it 10 years of her life or something? And now she eats everything and everything, and she's such a foodie. At the moment, he's really into chips. He just loves chips. And
to be honest, I think he likes the dip. He likes to dip things, that's his...
Yeah, he likes chips and dip, but mainly Nando's chips and Peronaise, to be honest. Jessica got very upset with my sister when my sister was looking after Rupert one weekend, and she sent a picture of them making cupcakes together, and then he was looking at them like this, and then what did she tell us? She told us, oh, Rupert really wants a cupcake, but I've told him he can't have one till after we've had our roast dinner. And Jessica was like, oh my god, that's so mean. How is he going to control himself? We don't normally do that.
Not how is he going to control himself, but that's... It just, I think it gives an unnecessary element of, this is a reward.
Yeah.
You're saying that this cake is amazing and special and great and better than this savoury food that I'm giving you. And therefore, this is the prize that comes after it for having eaten this. And you're devaluing the other food.
Yes, I do see it.
So that's why I'm willing to give both at the same time.
You
can go back and forth between them.
The other argument is that the roast dinner is, you need your protein and your vegetables and everything, and if you're going to fill up on carby sugars, you're not going to want to eat those things.
Well, if he supposedly has space in his stomach for both, what order does it matter?
because the whole idea is that they fill themselves up more. But it doesn't really work like that,
not
because
really
then
how
they're like,
it's
well, I'm only
stomach.
going to eat a tiny bit of chicken because I want to eat a massive cake afterwards.
You never get angry.
Well, I mean, I just said earlier on that I do.
I don't really experience anger.
We never get angry at Rupert. Like, I've never shouted at him. Like, and like the one or two times I have, it's not like, it's literally for like a split second and I immediately like apologise to him and say, Mum, you shouldn't have done that.
And what is there to even be angry at?
It's more just like build up of frustration sometimes, you know?
He's a toddler.
Yeah.
He's not intentionally causing any destruction in the world.
Yeah.
He's just trying to
I think when you
connect
get
and understand what's happening.
Yeah, I mean,
in the world around him.
anger is not a good reaction to your emotions, because you have the choice not to act out on your anger, and you should definitely not act out on your anger on your children. So, I mean, I get grumpy.
Oh, I cry. I'm a crier.
Yeah, when Jessica
For
gets
sure.
frustrated, she cries. When I get frustrated, I get really grumpy. But we're not generally like shouty.
No.
Jessica chooses all of Rupert's outfits.
No, we Montessori him. He chooses his outfits. We go, do you want this or this? And he goes, I would like.
But
and then they, do you want this
I will
or this?
say-
And then he says, you can tell which days I have chosen the options and which days Claudia has chosen the options.
I would say that Jessica does buy most of his clothes. Like, I do buy some, but the clothes I like are probably just like a bit like the clothes I wear, like a bit like a t-shirt, some trousers.
They're meh.
I would just normally buy some clothes from like George Asda or something, or like Tui from Sainsbury's, like some basic that are comfy. I'm really into comfort on him. I'm like, oh, this is a really nice soft comfy like sweater. Oh, these are really nice baggy like pajama bottoms. Like, whereas Jessica's like, isn't this collar adorable? Isn't this like...
Well, clearly he likes the clothes that I buy him because he wears them quite happily.
Yeah, but there are days where he just wants to like slouch around and wear like joggy bum.
I'm sure everyone has slouchy
Yeah,
days.
so it's good that I buy him clothes sometimes to make sure he gets things like that.
You speak elaborately to Rupert.
We do
Yes.
speak elaborately to Rupert.
We speak to Rupert as we would speak to another adult.
Very much like-
And thus he has the verbal skills of an over 3-year-old.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that the Montessori stuff taught us from like when we were reading early on, is about how you should give as much description and rich language as you can, because actually, what difference does it make for a child to learn the word to, that's a schnauzer, that's a Labrador, you know, like they can learn those words too, and you're giving them more information. Like, why do you need to drip feed them information just as they age up? Like, there's no reason why. I mean, there's obviously certain things you need to drip feed as they age that aren't age appropriate to learn, but like
Or also, why do you need to teach them things to then unlearn them? So, for instance, if you're teaching them things like...
look at the kitty cat.
Yeah.
It's like, it's just a cat.
like doggy. It's a doggy. It's a dog. So I think when he met some of my family members when he was a year old, and they were talking to him about the doggies, and he was like, I
like,
literally
my
have no
dad
idea
came
what you're
round-
talking
my
about.
dad came round
what
the other
now?
day.
Sorry, what?
My dad came around the other day and he was playing Duplo with Rupert. Oh, look, Rupert, it's a spaceman. Oh, do you have a space woman? And Rupert was like, huh? And I was like, the astronaut, Rupert. And he was like, astronaut. And he went and got the astronaut, and Dad was like, oh. I was like, why are you calling it a spaceman, Dad? Just call him an astronaut.
I know this didn't happen, but I assumed Claudia would go back to working full-time.
Oh God, the people love this one.
Yeah, people assumed Claudia would go back to working as a full-time dentist.
Well, firstly, I was never a full-time dentist. I was part-time dentist because I've always worked part-time with Jessica since the inception of this entire channel. In fact, if you watch some of Jessica's videos, you'll realise that I basically worked...
She's been here all along.
I worked...
Plot twist.
Basically, Jessica had a job before this job. It wasn't going so well. It was like paying really bad. She was working like ridiculous hours. She was standing on her feet all day filming and editing and producing. She worked on a TV channel. And then she was like, actually, you know what? Why don't I just do it myself, but like do a YouTube channel? And I was like, that sounds great, but there's a lot of work. I'll support you for 6 months financially, because I think we worked out we could just about do that. But I was like, but that's probably all we can do, and then you'll need to actually find a job if this is not working out.
And also, people don't know this, but I actually don't know much about how to work a camera.
Yeah.
So
when we first started, we did it together. Like, I like bought all the equipment, researched it all, filmed everything I filmed for you, took your photos. This is before Clara even joined. Like,
She has a lot of background knowledge in photography, And Claudia's taught herself a lot about videography over the years that this channel has been going. So
yeah, so then I was working like 3.5 days dentistry, then I was doing 4 days, and I dropped back down to 3 days because I was always working with Jessica as well, because obviously she needed help filming and everything and doing everything and producing everything.
Yeah.
And then
and she was working on the weekends. This wasn't just the 2 other days of the working week.
Yeah, and then obviously you got to consider Jessica's like health as well, and how like she can't work full time either anyway at it. I've never been passionate about dentistry. I don't really see my life in dentistry forever, whereas this like channel that we've started together is actually like much more exciting, and it like builds in my photography and a passion of videography that I never realized I had into it. And I like tech and gadgets, and I like learning all these things. I like suddenly realized I liked editing, so I was like, wait, I should do this more and less of the dentistry. But I was also like, but you know what, I've been working for the NHS for like 8 years now, and we're gonna have a baby soon, and I want to have my maternity pay because I deserve it.
Because you did 8 years at a job you hated, you should at least get something out of it.
Yeah, and also we knew that I'd have to have time off to have the baby, so I'd need like some maternity pay, because I'm not going to get maternity pay from YouTube. So
no, they don't do that.
Yeah, so
they still don't do sick pay.
Yeah, so we did that, but the plan was pretty much always that as soon as we had a baby, I'd hand in my notice and not go back. And yeah, now I'm much happier. So now basically I'm like working with Jessica the same as we were, just a little bit more, in fact, because I'm not now doing dentistry, but also now we have Rupert. And if I had gone back full time, like Rupert would be having to go into nursery.
Yeah.
Like 3 like full days, like 8 till 6 every day, which would cost a lot of money.
You spend more time with each other and Rupert than anyone else.
Yes, we don't have friends.
That's not true. Paige is here.
We pay Paige to be here.
We pay her. Oh, she's got no choice. Yeah. I mean,
she loves us.
That is a correct assumption, but I think
Jamie and Shaba.
I think it'd be like a bit weird. Do you have to prove
Stevie and
you have to
Josie.
prove otherwise, Jessie? Because it's going to say like it'd be
have some
a
friends.
sad assumption if they thought otherwise.
Yeah.
Like we were a dysfunctional
No,
family.
don't worry.
Or it would be the correct assumption if I was still working in dentistry.
It would.
Because then, yes, of course, Rupert wouldn't be with us.
That's
Like he'd only
tragic.
see us on the weekend.
No,
and the evenings.
we spend a ridiculous amount of time together.
Yeah.
We love each other very much.
Paige is telling us to say goodbye. She wants to spend more time with us. Alright.
Thanks so much for watching this video. If you'd like to see the original one, you can by clicking the card in the top left hand
I
of
think
the
I
screen.
might want to watch that one actually.
Go ahead, darling, go ahead. Or by clicking the link down in the description. If you'd like to see more from us, you can follow us on Instagram at Jessie and Claude, or at our individual accounts. Mine's at Jessica Out of the Closet, and hers is at Cloud-Foz.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder to find. My nickname is Cloud at school, okay? Love me.
Tilly has popped in to remind you that my merch store is closing down, and everything that's left is now on at 30% off. Ooh! And you can get whatever's there, including some wonderful iron-on patches of Tilly's face. Thank you so much to the members of the Kellgren-Fozard Club who make videos like this possible. If you would like to know more about joining, you get access to a monthly behind-the-scenes video, access to polls, access to a lovely picture of my face after your name. What? It's a lovely picture of my face.
I know, it just sounds so funny.
Well, all right.
I have access to a lovely face every day, my darling.
Yes, you do.
If you like the video, press subscribe. She wants to get to 1 million.
Shush!
Yeah, it would really be nice to get to 1 million. I don't know why, it's just like a pretty cool number.
It is! But YouTube did give you a plaque.
We want to be millionaires.
Not how that works.
I meant no, on YouTube. I thought it was a funny joke, no? No, actually someone could like take that and just use that really
I
badly.
mean, doesn't everyone? She just wants
I think she'd like to
cuddles.
live in a millionaire mansion.
I think she just wants to live in our bed. I don't think she cares where our bed is. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye bye!